oh, observe your thoughts. And I was like, oh my God, I talk like shit to myself. I just basically call myself all kinds of names all the time. And it wasn't until my second teacher training, which introduced meditation, that I was like, I'm putting a stop to this.
All right, welcome back to Quiero, a show about Latinx who want it all. I'm your host, Priscilla, and as you can tell, our setup this round is a little bit different. That's because this is our final episode, and if you have followed our journey, you know that we are taking Quiero Season 2 to LA. Terrifying, wonderful, all things. And so we decided that we would start playing around with the format of the show while we make our way to the very fancy city of, is it the City of Lights? That's Paris.
Of angels.
Oh, the city of Angeles. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Reminder, we are also a podcast, so you can catch us on iTunes and SoundCloud. Look for Quiero the Show. My face will come up with bad eyebrows. I got a lot better at my eyebrows. So, Quiero is all about making accessible tools for success, and mental health is a key part of that. So, we decided that we would talk to different members of the Latinx community who deal with their mental health in different ways and bring those tools to you. This originally was going to be one long episode, but instead we decided by having these awesome interviews that everyone would benefit from having shorter bits. So everyone is going to get their own segments. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Welcome to Part 1. First up is Patricia Pinto. Patricia is originally from Venezuela. She's a New York City based yoga teacher. She's a 9/11 survivor and found her way to yoga in order to heal from that trauma, and decided that she would devote her life to healing both herself and the healing of others. I wanted to chat with Patricia about the stigma of yoga within the Latinx community, lack of representation, because it's a real thing. And I think that yoga gets easily dismissed as an actual tool for healing. It's just become like so whitewashed that I really wanted to talk to her about the actual tools that you could gather from yoga and ways that you could make it accessible for yourself. So let's just hop right in. Can you tell me how you got into yoga?
So I got into yoga after September 11, because I was a couple blocks away from the World Trade Center when the World Trade Center fell. And I was in my early 20s, and I didn't know exactly what was happening emotionally. And I'm dealing with it as someone new to the city. I'm dealing with it by seeing it, because the building's falling. I saw a person jump. And it was like, I was this young person working near the World Trade Center, going to school, you know, all I thought about was like partying and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, my body shut down because I wasn't processing what was happening. So I gained like 30 pounds in like a month and a half. I got acne, which it doesn't even run in my family, but I got like serious acne. My period stopped coming. I didn't have my period.
Were you aware that you were in trauma?
I didn't, no.
You were just like...
I was just like, oh my God, somebody told me I look pregnant. Like, I guess I have to go to the gym now. Like, that's exactly how it happens. Fast forward, okay, I gained all this weight. I like running. I know as a runner, they always say, oh, you should do yoga. Yeah. I started doing yoga, and I started to feel at the end of class like what I call the yoga high. Like, it was just like this mind-body connection. I started to notice the break it was giving my thoughts, you know, and that's how it got started, like that. So
is that when you could kind of start to pinpoint, like, there are thoughts that are stopping that maybe have been harming me? Like, what
100%, like 1,000%. Like, I was just like, oh, observe your thoughts. And I was like, oh my God, I talk like shit to myself. Like, holy crap, like, wow, I just basically call myself all kinds of names all the time.
Was there any fight inside of you that might have thought, like, I don't want to be in trauma, or I'm not in trauma? Like, was there any part of you that was trying to diminish what had happened?
Well, it's the part of me that started drinking and doing drugs, like hardcore. Like, When I mean I was a partier, I was such a partier. And it wasn't until my second teacher training, which introduced meditation, that I was like, I'm putting a stop to this. And it's been a whole new journey since then.
So how does it feel? So it's obviously healed you.
Yeah.
And it's a process and it's a journey and it's kind of something you have to go back to every day. But if you had to kind of like summarize what meditation actually does for you, like what would you say?
It makes you mindful of how your brain works. You know, it's like finding a pathway to you, to like, where is this coming from? Like, what trauma, what experience, what, you know, like in yoga they talk about like intention in your heart, and it's just like that's exactly what meditation does. It's like that that connection to your very own personal way of thinking, and like you just become the observer and not the judge or the reactor or whatever.
I'm just like, I think I'm not that hip to like what yoga could look like within the Latino community at all, but like,
I'm not even sure if there's such a thing.
yeah, I mean, do you
You
ever
know?
find yourself like having to like legitimize what you do to your family?
Oh,
Not just like as a career path, but also as like a practice that they could take on themselves.
well, when I first told everyone that I was like, I'm gonna teach yoga, like they didn't even know what that meant. They're like, there she is doing another one of her crazy things. Like, who knows what that means? I guess like in the Latin community, it wasn't until YouTube became so broad with content. For a long time, there was no access to yoga. But now there's like so much yoga and they all know what I do, and now they think it's super cool. You know what I mean? Like I brought my mom on one of my retreats and she was so proud. You know, like it was really cute.
What is your hope when people take your practice?
To connect with their bodies. Like I think I think of like my class like step one, you know, it's just like get out of your head and get into here.
Why do you think that's important?
Well, because your head, I have a joke with it. I call it like you get on the train, you end up in the Bronx. You know, it's just like you end up who knows where, like shame, pain. I'm just like, get out of there and get into here for 1 hour. Like that's literally my goal. Like,
It's beautiful because your journey is like first getting into your body
yeah,
and then acknowledging that you had pain
yeah,
and then committing your life to healing.
yeah. Yeah,
Like I think the acknowledgement that we have something to heal.
it's huge.
What is something that someone could do? Like if someone's coming to you and they're like, "Ay, mami, tengo stress," and then, like or
I
whatever.
know, right?
Like, what do you like? What is something that someone can just like kind of put in their pocket?
Breathing, pranayama, like the easiest. It's very boring for a lot of people. It was very boring for me for a long time. But couple of breathing exercises like counting to 5 on your inhale and counting to 5 on your exhale, and doing that, timing yourself for 2 minutes and making yourself do it. It's like, boom, get out of that, the stress, you know. I mean, 2 minutes is very short, but it's very quick like that. Or exhale out your mouth 5 times, you know. Yeah, breathing is the number one.
And finally, like, why do you share your trauma story?
I was very shy about it for a long time. I didn't talk about September 11 only in like 4 years ago. I started to. Like
Why? What happened?
every September 11, I just really had panic. Like I just like would have a very strong reaction to the day. I hated how people were like, what's the saying? Never forget.
Yeah.
9/11, and I would be like, oh my God, can we please forget? You know what I mean?
I can't carry this anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like, and then it was like, all right, like, that's not the answer. You know, like the answer is to talk about it when you're comfortable, to as many people as you want, but talk about it when you're not comfortable to at least 1 or 2 people, you know?
When you're comfortable, talk about it to as many people as you want. And when you're not comfortable, talk about it to at least 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Awesome. Where can people take your class?
At Yoga Vida Equinox, and I teach at Lucent in Greenpoint. I also have a retreat company called Love Surf Yoga.
And then if you want to find Patricia on her website, it's patriciapintoyoga.com.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
doing
for
this,
having
man.
me.
Like, I really appreciate
So
you being
excited.
so open.
Yay.
With Patricia, as you can tell from my conversation with her, I definitely learned that it's not just access to healing our trauma, it's also acknowledging that we have trauma to begin with, and that is a really big part of our community. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel to keep the awesomeness going. Stay tuned for part 2 and 3 of this final episode, and then our road trip. We leave very soon. Make sure you follow me on social media. I'm there all the time. Love you.